Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. He's a Commanders fan, and he's feeling pretty good today because the Eagles are a trash football team, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man, the people in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell should be more worried about the Cowboys in the NFC East than the Eagles. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, it's post day. We had football eve on Wednesday. We had the first day of football. We got another game tonight, so I'm excited about that. Really, the biggest thing I'm concerned about is I'm going to the game on Sunday, and I'm just hoping Jaden Daniels doesn't spit on Abdul Carter or Dexter Lawrence, because I guess that's what we do now. I guess that's what the NFC East has become.
I wonder what Kirby Smart was thinking watching that game. Like he's got the fastest football team on the streets of Athens, Georgia, that you're ever going to find. He teaches his players no discipline. They don't go to class. And that's what's crazy to me. Like, Georgia is such a program that is totally locked in on the mission at hand. They win championships. The culture is there when they're on the field. Obviously, you got guys that drive race cars off the field and randomly, race in the streets of Athens, Georgia, but they still win football games. The discipline and accountability is there between the white lines. And then you get a guy like JALEN CARTER spitting on Dak Prescott last night. Now, Dak did spit on JALEN, but the first problem was the fact that he was 3 yards over the ball when the dude was getting carted off. He was like right over the ball, talking shit, saying things. And that made Dak come over, spit his feet. And then, since Dak spit at his feet in front of no referees, JALEN decided to hawk to the chest of Dak Prescott right in front of a referee. Like, literally, referee's right there. Let me spit in your face.
Yeah, so growing up, I was taught, I don't even know if it was my parents or just friends being around people, whatever, but I was taught that as a man, one of the most disrespectful, maybe the most disrespectful thing you can do is to spit on somebody. It's worse than punching somebody, because at least that is an act of natural aggression. From when you spit on somebody, it's like you're spitting on the street, the bottom of a shoe. You're walking over me, you think nothing of me. Dak, he spit. It looked like it was at JALEN CARTER's feet. I don't know if it hit his feet. I don't know if it landed in front of him. The story that Dak spun at the press conference was that JALEN CARTER was talking smack to Tyler Booker, who's a rookie making his NFL debut. Dak steps up to defend him. Dak says, I had to spit, which I'll stick up. You've been on a football field. Guys are spitting left, right, and center. In that context, does JALEN CARTER interpret it as Dak was trying to spit on me? Maybe. Point is, if he did, it hit his feet. If it didn't, then he landed in the grass in front of him. JALEN CARTER spits Dak's like collarbone area up by his face. It's two very different things. You can say that Dak was poking the bear, and that's what got Jalen to react that way. But if you're JALEN CARTER, first of all, the way in football goes. The guy who responds is always the one who gets flagged. Face mask, a punch, whatever. It's always the guy who responds that gets flagged. But in this instance, when you're spitting on somebody 2 feet away from the referee, yeah, you're going to get tossed. You can't start off like that.
And JALEN CARTER's the king of personal fouls. He's the king of unsportsmanlike conducts and unnecessary roughness. He's really good at it. Like, he's a Hall of Famer in that category. Now, Dak making that up at the press conference was ridiculous. Like, he clearly spits and says something as he spits and, like, looks him up and down. Like, it wasn't like I'm clearing my throat kind of thing. JALEN CARTER took it way too far and spit at him on top of it. Wasn't so much that he spit on him. Like, if he spits on him and nobody's around, that's why. If you got him on the ground and you hawk a loogie in his face and your face is covered and the ref can't see, so be it. We're playing ball now. But the fact that the ref is like right there on top of the football and you spit in his face is crazy to me. Also, Dak should have took a swing at JALEN CARTER after that. Like, Dak had a free shot to take at JALEN CARTER after getting spit on, and he wouldn't have been flagged for it.
You know what? What's being lost in all of this is JALEN CARTER's teammate has probably just suffered a season-ending injury. How about you go stand with him? Why are you so preoccupied by talking smack to Dak Prescott? How about you go pat your teammate on the back? He spent the last 7 months. I don't know if this player, I don't even know his name. I apologize. I don't know if he was on the Super Bowl winning team. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But he spent the last 7 months getting prepared, juiced up, divisional opponent, banner night, first game, first play of the year. Not even a snap. And he's out for the year. Go stand by him. Why are you so worried about Dak?
I think you should suspend him 3 games. I think 3 games is a fair suspension. 2 more.
Yeah, so what I've seen is this, in the eyes of the decision makers, this is going to be looked at as a 1-game suspension because he didn't even play.
Yeah. as it should be, but he should get more games on top of what he got here.
So I would have to go back and look because I don't know. I can't remember the last time we've had a legitimate spitting incident like this. There was actually something with AJ Brown and Marshawn Lattimore, I think last year, maybe in the second Eagles Commanders game. I don't think anything happened from that, but I don't know what the normal. I don't know what the normal penalty is for a spitting incident.
Well, like even I forget who made the tackle, but the flex that caused the 15-yard penalty last night, great play, whoever the defender
Oh
was.
yeah, it's so soft that we're calling.
The NFL is getting very soft, especially with like the hit to the tight end.
Ferguson, right?
Ferguson in the end zone.
Was it Ferguson? It was a tight end.
It was Ferguson. It wasn't Schoonmaker. So like that, what's the defender going to do in that situation? There's a lot of problems in today's game. Like he didn't even come in he didn't come in with like a demon look in his eyes trying to take his head off. Like, what are you going to do in that situation? You got to go knock the ball out. But also the other problem is the fact that dudes are streaking down the field on 3rd and 23. That's also a big issue. But my thing is, as far as like the suspension here, I think suspension should be equated to how dumb a player is. Like, truthfully, like this is just dumb beyond belief. But and again, it's harmless in the end of the day. Nobody gets hurt, but he deserves more than one game because it's so dumb and egregious that it should be a 3-game suspension in my mind, because you want to set the tone and say this is not okay. And it's not like, again, there's a lot worse things you can do to get suspended for games, but this is just so, like, how dumb can you be? Suspension.
Well, here's my question for you, because we know the NFL is focused on optics. They've changed the rules to make it more offensive because that means there's more viewership. People are watching. They're doing things like they're limiting your celebrations. Like we were just talking about, the league's gone soft a bit. So do you think it plays a role in this at all that this was first game of the year, opening night, banner night, first play of the season? Everybody's watching. Nobody's turned the game off yet. Do you think that is going to make the league more likely to give Jalen Carter a hefty suspension versus otherwise if it was just the third quarter of like week 8?
I mean, if this was the Giants and the Panthers, it probably wouldn't even made ESPN this morning. But now it's all they're going to talk about on First Take today.
So you think it does make it more likely there's a harsher penalty?
Yeah, I mean, if they really want to punish him, you at least suspend him one more week for the Kansas City game, because the Eagles go play the Chiefs next week. You at least suspend him for that. And you know what? Because it's Patrick Mahomes, maybe they actually will do that. Who knows? But I'm so disturbed by it. And I wish you could just spit in somebody's face in football. I think the NFL would be a better place if we could take people's heads off across the middle. We could spit in people's faces. We could flex and celebrate after tackles. I think it'd be a much better and more enjoyable league, because the way they're making this league, especially with the penalties now, but the kickoffs, the touchbacks going to the 35-yard line, like, what are we doing here? These kickers are so good that if you get 30 yards, you're already in field goal range, which is my issue. There's just a lot of things I don't like about the NFL after watching the past couple seasons develop. With that being said, I think that this is so far outside of what you can do under the current NFL's leadership. You'd never spit in a guy's face. If you get thrown out of the game right away, you need to get suspended more than one game, because it's so stupid. It's something that the player fully controls. If you flex after the play and you say something, you're in the heat of the moment. This is like he shouldn't even cross the ball to be next to the Cowboys huddle. Like that's a 15-yard flag right there.
Yeah, if the stuff, the celebrations after plays, I'm totally on the player's side of that, because football is a physical, violent game, and when that happens, you have to turn off the part of your brain that has self-preservation, and that's your more. It's just the side of you that tempers whatever it is you're doing. It says, no, take a second to think this through. You can't do that in football. You got to be violent. You got to be physical. You got to be impulsive. So when they make a tackle for a 3-yard loss and they stand up flexing, and the referees throw a flag, and I'm not even blaming the referees because they're doing their jobs. It's the decision makers in the NFL office that say we have to hunt this out. Well, if you do that, you're going to get players who play worse because they're thinking about everything that is happening instead of reacting. I
mean, I will say, if you flex on somebody and say something to them after making a tackle, you have no control. Like, the players need to be better. I wish we didn't have that rule, but it's not a hard rule to follow. You can celebrate. You can do whatever you want celebration wise. You can't flash a gun. You can't do a knife. You can't do a bow and arrow. You can't do any gun violence stuff celebrating now. You can't lean over a guy and call them, you know what. You can literally do anything else involving your teammates. You could do whatever you want celebration wise involving your teammates, as long as it's not you pointing a gun to the sky with your hand. So they still let them celebrate. You just got to be smarter. I wish we were able to like see the guy lean over and, say what they want after making a tackle. But in the end of the day, you still can do a lot. A lot of them don't follow the rules.
Well, let's talk about this game. So I don't know what's your biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway, the number one thing I want to say here is the the lightning delay. Nobody could get a stop. You finally got the Miles Sanders fumble, but the Cowboys were marching down the field when that happened. Just to recap here: touchdown, 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 field goal, touchdown, field goal, fumble. Again, the Cowboys have gone 61 yards at this point on this possession. You change possessions, go over to the Eagles. I think after like the first or second play, they shut the game down for the delay. You come back, nobody scores. Nobody goes. The longest drive from that point on was 11 plays, 32 yards. Nobody scored a point. So there was a very clear line in the sand where teams go back to the locker room and say, hey, this is what they're doing. This is what we're doing. This is how we're changing it. Also, the players just lost their rhythm. Bodies went cold a little bit, and the game completely changed. I mean, this was going to be a 41-38, and instead there was no points after that point on.
I don't think it had anything to do with teams making adjustments in the locker room. I think it had more so to do with the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles got very conservative with their play calling. I think they were just content trying to run the ball for second down, and then you stick Jalen Hurts in a spot that he hasn't really been in all night, which is third and long, and he wasn't successful in it. And then for Dallas, Dallas missed opportunities. CeeDee Lamb, we'll talk about him. He dropped some passes. The Cowboys fumbled earlier before the lightning delay. They just missed opportunities more so. I mean, they were still getting some pretty nice chunk plays through the air. My biggest takeaway, and I posted this online, and the Eagles fans, the craziest fan base in all football. Basically, I don't think they're that good. I think defensively, they're not good. They're terrible on defense because you got lit up by really one guy last night. CeeDee Lamb, he lit you up. And the fact that, like I said, before with the Jake Ferguson roughing or, whatever call in the end zone, the bottom line there was that we got guys streaking down the field. How many times was it second and long, third and long, and they're giving up big plays through the air, whether it's through PI or just a shot play down the field? That's not the sign of a good defense. So the Eagles fans counter is the fact, we didn't have Jalen Carter. Well, the fact that you don't have Milton Williams right now, who got a lot of money in free agency, Josh Sweat, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, that is making an impact on your football team. And they say, well, last year at this point, we weren't expected to win a Super Bowl. So it's the same thing this year. Well, you had a lot more talent there last year than you do now. So I think offensively, they're going to be okay. Jalen Hurts has got to find a way to throw the football a little bit more. They didn't have to do it last night necessarily. The offense was good. But defensively, the Eagles are in trouble. And if they go out and get one cornerback at the trade deadline, I don't really care. It doesn't make a difference to me. They lost a lot of talent.
So I never really like playing the hypothetical game. I can entertain it in certain circumstances. If Jalen Carter, you remember, I think it was in the Super Bowl, Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles running onto the field. There's a change of possession. He was going out there. If that happened to Jalen Carter, we could play a hypothetical game. When he, on his own volition, spits on a player and gets himself ejected, you can't play the hypothetical game because he chose to make that happen. Just like if he chose to beat the center and get a sack, if he chose to get a strip sack, he made that decision. So he removed himself from this game. Nobody else did it. The injury gods didn't do it. That was his choice. So I'm not playing the hypothetical game on that. From just the perspective of the Eagles defense, here's the thing. The Eagles fans who actually want to talk facts, they were one of the worst defenses over the first 4 weeks last season. They insert Cooper DeJean into the slot. It completely changed the complexion of their defense. You can look at EPA, stuff like that. They went from I think they might have actually been dead last. I think they might have been 32nd to then first in all the advanced metrics, basically. So they're the ones who are actually a little tempered in this conversation. They'll say, look, this happened to us last year. Vic Fangio runs a very complex system. It takes time to get things adjusted, yada, yada, yada. We'll see what happens. Okay, that is an opinion I would actually respect. But if we are talking about just, is this team good enough to win a Super Bowl? They still have talent. Don't get me wrong. We spent all offseason saying the Eagles and the Ravens, more talent than everyone else. Maybe the Lions are in that conversation as well. But they have holes. And you saw them acknowledge that. They benched Adoree Jackson in the second quarter. And same thing, he went to the injury tent, comes out. He's totally fine to check back in. They won't put him back in. Cornerback 2 is going to be a major issue. If they can't get home with 4, and that's where the Jalen Carter absence really did hurt them. If they can't get home with 4, they're going to have major issues. You saw them using the athleticism of Zach Bond and Jihad Campbell to try to drop back in pass coverage a couple times. But there was one play where they were in cover 2, and Campbell was in the deepest drop of them all, and he was 30, 40 yards down the field. And it's like, that's just not something that should be naturally happening in this situation. So, yes, there is the possibility that they do figure this thing out just like they did last year. But at the same time, they're starting in a much lower spot, I think, just in terms of, like you said, all the offseason movement. The back end, you've got Makuba, DeJean, and Quinyon Mitchell, who are all first or second year players, all got talent, but still you're straining them. You're straining the young guys an awful lot.
Yeah, they missed a lot of tackles too. And the blitz, or the pressure, I'd say they didn't blitz much last night, but it wasn't really getting home. I do think Jalen Carter obviously makes a difference there, but you still need your edge guys to make plays too. There were a lot of times where they were getting run around the quarterback, and when they did get there, they couldn't even tackle. So Jalen Carter makes a difference, don't get me wrong, but there's no excuse to be giving up 20-yard plays on 2nd and 20. There's no excuse. Like, even I can't tell you how many times there also could have been PI called on the Philadelphia Eagles secondary on big shot plays down the field. So it was a really bad defensive night. The floor is much lower for the team, and the ceiling is also much lower because of their defense. And it's also hard to go back to back. And I think that's what people are forgetting here. Like, I think Eagles fans just think it's going to be easy for them to go back to back because they were so dominant towards the end of the season last year. It's really hard to do that. Very few teams, the Chiefs have done it. The Patriots have done it, I think, right?
Yeah. 9 penalties for 110 yards. They're the first team in however long to have 90 yards of penalties in the first half.
They survived last night. And now this is a game that if CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop a few of the passes, and don't get me wrong, the Cowboys definitely, got help off the penalties. Like the penalties did help them. The Eagles played a clean game. I think maybe they win a little more convincingly, but this was a game the entire time where it just came down to the Dallas Cowboys shooting themselves in the foot more than anything else. Because honestly, the Cowboys defense looked a lot better than the Eagles defense down the stretch in this football game.
Oh yeah, 100%. Also because we know, although the Cowboys did show us more on offense, we know the Eagles should be better than them, right? Dak is coming off the second season-ending leg injury of his career. Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, neither one of them averaged more than 4 yards a carry the last 2 years. Okay, you've got CeeDee Lamb, you've got George Pickens who can make tough catches, but his route tree is very limited. It's basically all vertical. You got a young offensive line. You just lost Zach Martin. Your tight end, Jake Ferguson, okay, he's not terrible, but he's not elite either. The Eagles have more talent. They have more continuity. They have more familiarity with who each other are. Yet it was the Cowboys who, more times than not, you actually walked away a little more impressed by.
Yeah, and even if Miles Sanders scores, they don't fumble, right? Like, I still believe the Eagles are going to win the game. I still think the Eagles offense is going to go down and win the football game, or at least score. They didn't have to score last night. They were content, just run, try to throw the ball on third down, punt, play defense, because they guess they believe they weren't going to score a touchdown, which I don't know how. But when you call the game differently if they're up 1 versus being up 4, it's a much different offensive game for them. So I still think the Eagles could have answered if they had to last night. Luckily, they didn't have to. Just a wild game. Tough beat for over bettors last night. It was at 44. The total was 47.5. It pretty much sat at 44 for the final 20 something minutes of the game. And really no scoring opportunities on either side after the Miles Sanders fumble.
Yeah. One thing that I do want to touch on here is Jalen Hurts piece of it. So watching the game, it looked like you can barely see what's happening down the field, obviously, with the camera angle. It just looked like he had to have been missing throws because a lot of scrambles, a lot of very short stuff. So I went back and actually watched the all 22 this morning. And what Jalen Hurts did a great job of last year, and this is where Eagles fans sometimes can get offended. When you call him, I actually saw someone, I wish I could remember who, someone put out, might have been Steven Ruiz, put out their quarterback rankings for this year. They had Jalen Hurts at like 13th, 14th, but they gave little very quick descriptions of every player's. And his one for Jalen Hurts was elite role player on an elite team. And I think that's a very good way to put it, because last year what Jalen did such a phenomenal job of, and this is not me dissing him, but he wouldn't take risks. He said, okay, I know I have Saquon Barkley, who's running for 2,000 yards. I know I have a historic defense. If I turn the ball over, I can lose us the game. I'm probably not going to win us the game just with the way that our team is set up to play, but I can lose it for us if I turn this ball over. So I think he carried some of those tendencies, some of those instincts into this game, because in watching the All-22, it's not necessarily that he was missing players. He certainly was a couple of times, but that wasn't the biggest takeaway I had. My biggest takeaway was he gave it like 1 second and then decided if I'm throwing it, it's short to this receiver or I'm tucking and running. He wasn't even really giving things a chance to develop downfield. And that worked in the situation, although Cowboys covered. Cowboys looked a lot better than we thought they would. And most people probably don't think the Cowboys are a great team. So you're on the road against the Chiefs next week. Then you've got the Rams. Then you're at the Buccaneers. Then you've got the Broncos. When you're playing those teams, you are going to have to make plays, because Saquon not going to rush for 2,000 yards this season. The defense doesn't look like it's going to be as good as it was last year. So Jalen's going to have to revert some of those tendencies and actually step up and make plays. And he had a terrific throw to Jahan Dotson on the double post, but that was a rarity. That's something that you basically never see from him. So he's going to have to develop, really not even physically. He's just going to have to overcome some of those tendencies that he's built up.
I'm higher on Jalen Hurts than you are. I still think Jalen Hurts is a top tier quarterback in the NFL. Does he benefit from being on a really good team? Yeah. But to win a Super Bowl, you need to have a good team. Unless you're Patrick Mahomes per se, he probably can do it without the talent around you. He just finds their defense, like the Chiefs, their defense has kept them in games, and he's been good enough to go down and lead drives when he has to pretty consistently. But I still am very high on Jalen Hurts. I do like Jalen Hurts a lot. His ability to scramble. Now, granted, I didn't watch the end zone camera like you did, but he takes off early. He's still good enough to go make those plays with his legs, and that's what killed Dallas last night. Overall, it was Jalen Hurts scrambling. So I can't necessarily fault him for not going through his reads and his progressions, but I guarantee down the stretch, if you don't throw the ball to A.J. Brown in a football game, you are going to lose more times than not. So they need to get that fixed as well, because this is a passing league. The scrambles are going to be shut down by you put Micah Parsons out there for the Cowboys last night. It's a different story. He's staying in his rush lane. They're staying in their rush lanes a little more. Yeah,
I don't want what I just said to come across as I think Jalen played a bad game, because that's not what I'm saying. If Dallas had done a better job with their containing the pocket, rush lane integrity, would have been totally different. If they had taken away those runs and still everything that happened on the back end stayed the same, it would have looked a lot different. Jalen Hurts, according to ESPN, had a QBR of 93.7. I don't think he was that good, but I do think he played a good game. All I'm saying is, if you do take out those runs, which I know is a big part of it, but if you take them out and you just look at how he did as a passer, it was not very good. So it's something that you want to see develop. Like there was one, I forget what it was, but it was around like the 40 or 50 yard line or so, and it was 2nd and 10, something like that. And he had a throw for 8 yards, and it was quick, it was timing, but instead of going through his progressions, he stared down one player, didn't get it, took off and ran, and I think it went for like 1 yard. And then on the next play, he had somebody open in basically the exact same spot as the first play, and he completes it for like 6-7 yards, however long it was, but it's 4th down and now they kick it. It's like, if you had just done the easy job, it would have been 2 straight gains of 7-8 yards versus we're in 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2, and now we have to kick it away.
It's not a talented defense. It's an offense last night that probably didn't have to do anything outside the box. Like, what they were doing was working. So you really can't judge them off this game necessarily. I can judge the defense and say, if they have lost talent. That's what I can say. That's my biggest takeaway from the football game. Defensively, they need to improve a lot, and I don't know how much they can improve with the guys that they were lost in the offseason. Now, with Jalen Carter on the field, different story. We got to see how they look there. I think he should be suspended a little more, but that's just me. However, I still think they lost a lot of talent, and it's going to be very hard to get back to a Super Bowl based on that.
They didn't look good. And normally defenses start ahead of offenses. So this really flipped the script there.
Yeah, definitely. Any other thoughts on the game, Grant?
I think, this next month, again, the Eagles at Chiefs. I guess they have 10 days to prepare for it, so it's good for them. But the Chiefs are gonna have 9 days because they play tonight. At Chiefs, Rams, at Bucks, Broncos. You're gonna learn a lot about the Eagles in that stretch.
Totally agree there. We're going to talk about the Chiefs in a minute, but before we do that, make sure you guys go check out WSN.com. We got picks, promo codes, articles for pretty much every NFL game coming up this weekend. We also have just betting analysis, betting news, and then sports betting picks and promo codes. The sports books are giving away so many good deals this weekend. Like, there are so many promotions going on, so make sure you guys sign up for all the accounts, and you can do that at WSN.com. Get a sign-up bonus for pretty much every one of them, and then take advantage of all the deals that they're offering throughout the week and throughout the season. Grant, what about Ride the Line? Tell the people why they need to subscribe to this podcast.
Well, it is the NFL season, which means Tanner and I are obviously here in front of the camera. We're talking about the biggest games of the week, of the season. We are giving betting picks for pretty much every game that we're going to get to. Obviously, also the NBA is going to be starting up soon. We got everything you could ask for on top of our lovely charm and personality. So make sure you do hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support us, the number one way you can do that, which only takes 2 seconds out of your day, hit the like button. That's the easiest way to support us.
Hit that like button, subscribe. I want it all. Like, share, subscribe, do it all. Get it done. Get it done just like Jalen Hurts spat on the face of Dak Prescott last night. Not Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter. That would have been cool if Jalen Hurts spit on Dak Prescott.
If he ran onto the field just to spit on him.
They had no Tanner McKee last night. It was their backup.
No, they released Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Sam Howell would have been the guy. So Tanner McKee was hurt last night?
Yes, he has a thumb injury.
How do backups get hurt?
He was like their only quarterback playing in the preseason. So
no excuse. It's the preseason. Anyways, Grant, let's talk a little bit about the games this weekend. I have some parlays cooking. I actually want to read you some of these parlays before we talk about this, because they all kind of involve the Chiefs, and I'm very concerned about it. So I have 2 different kind of parlays going. Here's the big one. It had Cowboys or Eagles last night, so that was a big one. Then let's see here. Okay, so I have 2, and I want you to read off. I want you to tell me which one you like better. Eagles, Chiefs versus the Chiefs versus the Chargers, Commanders to beat the Giants, Cardinals to beat the Saints, Bengals to beat the Browns, Broncos to beat the Titans, Ravens to beat the Bills. That is plus 2,252 boosted.
That's really good odds. I thought you were going to go much lower than that. I like that.
And then I also have another one, Eagles, Chargers plus 10.5. So both the games between these 2 teams were really close. I did an alternate line there. Bucks money line, Ravens money line, and that is plus 424.
Who are the Bucks playing again?
Bucks are on the road against the Falcons.
I like the first one better. Think you got some great odds for that. Second one's still good.
Yeah, I still like the Falcons, or I still like the Buccaneers on the road against the Falcons, but obviously that's going to be a tight game. I did that more so because that's a game I'm going to be watching, but I feel pretty good about them. This game tonight, though, between the Chiefs and the Chargers, I think is going to be a slugfest. I think it's going to be really close. I think, if anything, the Chiefs pull it out late, but I'm not confident in Kansas City tonight, and I just don't know why.
I'm not confident in Kansas City either. I think they can try to forget what happened to the Super Bowl all they want, but they were 1 hour away from being the first 3-peat champions in NFL history, and they got absolutely demolished. They got belted. So that's going to play a role in all of this. The Rashee Rice stuff, I know he's available, but that's going to play a role in all of this. They haven't really upgraded the defense, and they have talent there, don't get me wrong, but it's the same. And if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Travis Kelce's been their most important offensive player for however long. He's getting old. I don't know about their ability to run the ball. And with the Chargers, they're very well coached. You know they're going to be good on defense. You know Justin Herbert is solid and nothing else. And they've actually worked to upgrade the things around him. They dipped into the draft with Joe Alt, built the offensive line last year. This time around, you get a running back with Amari Hampton and Najee Harris. You draft Trey Harris to join with Ladd McConkey. They're building something in the Chargers. I'm high on the Chargers and probably lower than most on the Chiefs, but I do think this is a good spot for the Chargers.
I do too. If you're going to get the Chargers, or if you're going to get the Chiefs, it's probably going to be in this game in an international setting. If I had to pick, I'm going to take the Chargers plus the 3. The two teams played really close games last year. I don't love either side of it. If it wasn't a standalone game, I would never be betting it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably agree with you on that, the standalone bit of it. But yes, I'm also Chargers plus 3.
All right, good. We're on the same side then. Giants versus the Commanders, Grant. Your Washington Commanders, Washington football team, Washington Generals, Washington Presidents, Washington Redskins, whatever name under the sun you want to call them, they play against the Giants. Grant, this is a hammer the Giants plus 5.5 spot. Hammer it.
Yeah, see, it's tough for me because I don't know about plus 5.5, plus 6.5. If you could get me to that number, I do like it an awful lot more. Here's the thing, right? I think there's certainly a lot of questions with the Commanders. You know, Terry McLaurin was out for however long. Noah Brown didn't practice basically the entirety of the preseason. Sam Cosby's not going to be playing. Brandon Coleman was injured for a little bit. The Giants, if they're going to try to play man coverage, which they did a lot of last year, if they're going to try that game, I view it as almost a losing battle because if you don't hold contain, Jaden Daniels is going to tear up man coverage. He's just going to run for 1,000,000 yards. If you keep him in the pocket and force him to throw the ball, Washington might not have the best receivers in the world, but they have different looks they can get to. McLaurin, Noah Brown, Deebo Samuel, now Jalen Lane runs a 4-3. They all do very different things, but that means you can hunt for different looks there. On the flip side of this, as great as the Giants' defensive line is, if Abdul Carter, if Brian Burns, if they rip through the offensive line, they go for the sack and they don't get it, well, now you've just directed Jaden Daniels where to run the ball to. With the flip side of all this being said, Malik Neighbors is a total game changer. Russell Wilson still got the deep ball on him. So I do think this is I think it's a close game. A 10-point game could be close, but a 4-point game, a 3-point game could also be close. So I think the tough part for me is figuring out which side of that I want to land on. Again, if you gave me the Giants at 6.5, 7, then I probably would be taking them. But with it being at 5.5, I would say I'm a little more tempted just to go with the Commanders.
Yeah, tight divisional game. I think when you look at the Giants, Malik Neighbors is the game changer. It's not just the deep ball, too. It's the quick screens, the flare passes, getting the ball out to him in space and letting him make plays. I mean, he did a lot of damage last year with Daniel Jones as his quarterback, with Tommy DeVito as his quarterback. So now the fact of the matter is he's got Russell Wilson, who's won a Super Bowl there. I think there are some high expectations, not high expectations necessarily for the Giants, but I think they're going to be better than last year. The future is bright. You have a guy in Jackson Dart waiting in the wings. Like, there's excitement around the team. I think they're going to come out and show that. And the Commanders are fourth quarter kings. So 5.5 points just seems like a very fair number for the Giants here. And they kept both games really close last year. So I think it's same result this year.
They did not keep both games close. From a betting perspective.
Yes, they did.
From a betting perspective, they kept both games close. From what actually happened on the field, it was not close. But
they covered both games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying here. The games were not close, but it ended in 2 Giants covers. So two just important distinction there.
They covered in both games. We're talking about who's going to cover the spread. They covered in both games. Panthers versus Jaguars here. I like the Panthers plus 3.5. I think that's juicy. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars suck. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is obviously a quarterback who we don't know if he's good. We don't know if he's bad now. We got Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, Travis Hunter into the mix. I think they're minus 3.5 because of Travis Hunter in the spot. But the Panthers, the way they played down the stretch last season, the way Bryce Young looked down the stretch defensively, they locked in the second half of the season as well, or the last few games, I should say. I think they're bringing a lot of motivation, a lot of excitement into this football game. Dave Canales, second year as head coach. I will take the Panthers plus 3.5 here.
So I got this line at 2.5, and I did like the Jaguars at that one because if you win the game, you're probably covering 2.5. That's not always how it goes, but it usually does work out that way. So at that line, I did like the Jaguars at minus 2.5. That was in my predictions, which are up on WSN.com. You guys want to see what I'm betting on every week? Make sure you go check it out there. So I did get the Jaguars there at this 3.5 line. It's definitely more enticing for the Panthers. Ultimately, because I already got them at 2.5, like I'm just staying away from this in general. But if you still need a bet from me, I would say go with the Jaguars. I understand why people are higher on the Panthers than they were last year, certainly, but I think that's changing our perception of them just a little bit too much. With the Jaguars, we know they have talent. The problem is they haven't had an offensive coordinator, an offensive coach who's been able to unlock everything. And Liam Cohen did such an outstanding job with the Buccaneers last season that I could see this being a high scoring game. Over 46.5, probably the strongest play here. But I do think that could be something like a 31-27 for the Jaguars, a 31-24, and they get the cover.
Liam Cohen is such a goofball. I don't know if he's going to be able to lead a football team.
He went to UMass, which is, I don't know. We'll see what he's got.
Was he a quarterback there?
Yeah, he was a quarterback, and then he was a coach, I think.
Big game for UMass this weekend.
Yeah.
Who's UMass of? UMass.
You just said big game. You don't even know who they're playing.
It's always a big game for the Minutemen.
They're playing Bryant.
That's a big game. It's a winnable one for them. They got to find a way.
Can we get some odds on this one?
Find a way in Amherst. I'm in Massachusetts right now, so I can't pull them up. But they're there. They're probably a 28-point favorite. 2.5-point favorite is the Pittsburgh Steelers against the New York Jets. This is a game that I think the Steelers are a lot better than the New York Jets. I think Justin Fields is a liability at quarterback. We got the interesting dichotomy of quarterbacks in this game. You got Aaron Rodgers going against a team who he barely played for. I mean, I guess he played a season with them, but it didn't go as well as it would have expected because of the injury that he had the season prior. Then on the flip side, you got Justin Fields, and the Steelers didn't really give him a chance. So it's going to be an interesting, kind of dichotomy of a football game, but I'll take the Steelers here. I think they're going to run their way to a victory. Aaron Glenn, first-time head coach. I'll trust the experience, and I think Aaron Rodgers is still good enough with a good team around him to win.
Yeah, Steelers -2.5, -3. I'm surprised this line has actually moved down to 2.5 from 3. I definitely like it more at 2.5 just because you're getting the field goal, obviously. But either way, I love the Steelers in this one. Not a big Steelers guy overall, but in this specific matchup, Justin Fields, I'm not a believer in him. He's kind of just the worst version possible of Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels. And when you look at the success the Steelers have had against those two guys, granted they only played Jaden once, but they play Lamar twice a year, every year. And they do such a great job / are used to facing these mobile quarterbacks who want to be able to utilize their legs to break the game open. They know how to set hard edges. They do mush rush stuff where they move together as a unit, but they never break out, so that they always collapse the pocket together instead of giving an opening for the quarterback to escape. So, yeah, I mean, and on top of all of that, Justin Fields was with the Steelers last year. Mike Tomlin knows exactly what he's game planning for, whereas you said Aaron Glenn, not the same case with Aaron Rodgers, and he's first-time head coach here. So, yeah, I like the Steelers.
Raiders versus Patriots. As much as I want to see the Patriots -2.5 in this game, I do think the Raiders are going to find a way to pull through. I think Boston sports lately has just been about high expectations that don't necessarily come through, and I think that's going to be the case once again for this Patriots team. I love Drake May. I think the turnovers are an issue with him. I think the Patriots defense is going to be really good. So I would probably lean on the under 43.5, especially if the Raiders decide to run the ball with Ashton Jeanty. But this one comes down to which quarterback's going to make more plays. I think it's Geno Smith in this game because I think the Patriots will do a nice job against Ashton Jeanty. And I want them to win the game, but I just don't believe they're going to do it. So I would take Raiders +2.5.
What I'm so interested, and it's almost going to make me abandon this game. What I'm so interested to find out is Amari Cooper just retired, and he was going to be the Raiders wide receiver number 2. Now he hasn't been with them for a very long time, obviously. So they went through portions of the offseason and training camp where they were practicing without Amari Cooper. So I want to know, do they just revert to that? How big of a role does that retirement change their game plan? Can they account for it? I think they will. Pete Carroll's a very smart guy who's had tons of experience. At the same time, lots of moving parts, new quarterback, new running back, offensive line movement. So a lot of questions to be answered for both teams, just in the sense that we don't really know what either one's going to look like. We can make all the guesses in the world. We just haven't seen it. So I do think it'll be a tight game. I see why you'd take the under. I would go, what am I doing here? I would go Raiders. Yeah, I would go Raiders +2.5.
There's a lot of trends that support the Raiders. And again, I don't like it. I'm not going to bet it because I want the Patriots to win the football game. I just don't think they're going to because they're still – it's a team that won, 4 games last year. Yeah, you got a new head coach in there with Mike Vrabel, who I think is going to obviously make them better. The defense is still going to be good. You got Josh McDaniels. It's going to take time, though, and I just don't know if week 1 is a great spot for them. Now, week 1 at home against a team like the Raiders is probably the best opener you're going to find unless you could get a team like the Saints at home, but it's a winnable football game. I just don't think they're going to do it.
Speaking of the Saints, you want to go to the Cardinals Saints?
Yeah. Why don't you intro this one, Grant?
Cardinals minus 6.5. I'm looking at FanDuel right now. 73% of bets, 87% of money on the spread is on the Cardinals. And I totally get it. Normally, you don't want to be square, and the public tends to be square. If they weren't, the sports books wouldn't make any money, obviously. But with that being said, man, I think the Saints are going to be picking first in the draft next year. I think they're pretty awful everywhere on the field, and especially at the most important position. I'm not the biggest Kyler Murray fan in the world, but normally starts the seasons pretty well, and his counterpart is Spencer Rattler. And if that doesn't go well, you're going to get Tyler Shuck or Jake. Is Jake Kane? They might have released Jake Kane, or matter of fact. So I just have so little confidence in this Saints team. I don't know how they average 17 points a game this season, which means the Cardinals got to get like 23. I think they're capable of that. So I'll take the Cardinals to cover.
This Cardinals team's really good. Like not really, really good, but they're good.
They're sneaky good.
They're sneaky good. Kyler Murray, James Conner, Marv, Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, Trey McBride, Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle. Like that's a first round guy there. Defensively, you bring in Josh Sweat now. Like this is a team that's going to be sneaky good. Buda Baker in the secondary. There's guys here that can.
And Walter Nolan, he's not going to play in this game, but that's their first round draft pick. He's going to really help the defensive line.
These guys can ball a little bit. So I think 6.5 should be no problem for them. And I think the Cardinals could be a sneaky playoff team. I don't think they're going to get there, but sneaky playoff team.
Yeah, I could see them winning. The problem is the 49ers, we know, have that crazy easy schedule, and the Rams are good. The Seahawks are good. So it might still be like a 6-11 season, but you can be competitive with a bad record.
Well, Christian McCaffrey's already hurt, so that's not
that's sign. Brian Robinson Jr., RB1 in the Bay.
You think Christian McCaffrey's not going to play week 1?
I have no idea. I don't want to speculate because I truly don't know. I found out for like everyone else did about the calf stuff, and I didn't hear anything about it before, so I don't know.
All right, Bengals, Browns. Bengals minus 5.5 on the road here. I vividly, I should say, remember having the Bengals in a bunch of parlays last year in week 1 that they killed because the Patriots went on the road and won outright as a 7-point dog by barely scoring any points. The offense couldn't get anything going. Zach Taylor is basically Brian Kelly in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. He is a better coach, but he does a lot of dumb things probably too early in the football game. I think there's a little too much aggressiveness. The Browns defense is okay. It's a division game. It pains me to do it. I probably lean Browns plus 5.5. I don't love it because I think if the Bengals score 28 points in this game, there's no chance that the Browns cover, but I'm still going to take the Browns. I think that the opponents are so familiar that if anyone has the chance of shutting down Jamar Chase or shutting down a T. Higgins, it would be Cleveland.
I'm going to take the Bengals. I think them playing their guys in the preseason helps a little bit. I know the defense was awful in the preseason, but man, the offense still looks great. And you just got to get one stop, and you might not even need the stop. Joe Flacco might just throw it to you. So I'll take the Bengals, but definitely not my favorite bet of the year.
And I want to do that. I really do, but I can't do it. I've seen these teams play close games a bunch. I know how bad Zach Taylor teams start to open the year. It's hard for me to take it, but I want to. Dolphins versus Colts. The Colts are sneaky good too. Like, can I just say that? They're a sneaky good offense. I know you have Daniel Jones, but you are still a sneaky good offense. Would you agree with that?
Here's the thing. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback, but he wasn't a good quarterback when the Giants won 11 games or whatever it was, and Dable won Coach of the Year, right? If you can support him with a running game and some playmakers, we know the Colts have a good offensive line. We know Jonathan Taylor's good. They've upgraded their defense quite a bit. So I agree with you. Sneaky good. It might be taking a stretch too far, but I like to use the term competitive. They can be competitive. So I think they have a great chance to beat the Dolphins in this game.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that are saying the Dolphins, like, why are they underdogs? You got Tua coming back. You got Tyreek. You have a great offensive mind. You have Jalen Waddle. Well, I'll give you a few reasons. Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alex Pierce, Tyler Warren, a strong offensive line and an upgraded defense at home. It makes sense to me. I'm going to take the Colts here.
I have the Colts as well. We've agreed on most of these so far.
Yeah, which is a good sign, I guess.
Yeah.
Buccaneers versus the Falcons here. Buccaneers minus 1.5 on the road against Atlanta. You know me. I'm taking Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, dog. I think Falcons will be competitive. I think Bucs will pull this one out late. It's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, I understand why people want to be high on the Falcons, and I'm actually right there with them because Jalen Walker was actually my favorite defensive player in the draft. Not saying I would have taken him number one, but just like who's my guy? Jalen Walker's my guy. The Falcons got him. They also took James Pierce from Tennessee, so clearly they're trying to upgrade that pass rush. And Michael Penix, he didn't acquit himself very well last season. He missed like 20% of his throws, something ridiculous. Granted, he only played a couple of weeks, and we saw what he did at the college level too. Michael Penix can spin that ball. But with all that being said, it's a lot of I believe in this. I can see it coming together. With the Buccaneers, I've already seen it. I believe it because my own two eyes watched it. So I will take the Buccaneers. I do think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to ride with them. Even if Josh Grizzard is taking over as the OC, he was in the building before. So yeah, I'll take the Bucs.
Yeah, and Penix hasn't played football. Like, we forget that. He has not played a lot of NFL football. I think people are going into the season, since he played a little bit at the end of the season, that like Penix has experience. Really, Penix has not been in the trenches much.
Yeah, he played two and a quarter games, something like that.
Yeah, it feels like he played the whole season, though.
It's like that. I think it's just like that with any second year guy. Like, people are forgetting JJ McCarthy is a rookie. We're not talking about him that way.
People are talking about JJ McCarthy like he sucks.
I think he does, but
yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Titans versus Broncos. Broncos minus 8.5 against the Titans at home here. This is going to be a beatdown. I will lay the points with the Denver Broncos. The Titans are going to struggle a lot this year. I'm excited to see Cam Ward play. I think he's going to be in for a rude awakening against a legitimate NFL defense in week 1, though. So I'll take the 8.5, or I'll lay the 8.5.
So I am going to scoop it up with the Titans there. Don't get me wrong. I think the Broncos will control the game. I think Cam Ward's going to throw an interception, fumble, go for it on 4th down, not get it, something like that. Because the Broncos have an elite defense, top 3, top 5 defense. If they don't, it's a real shame because they were so good last year, and it seems like they got better based on their personnel. That being said, Cam Ward does have this never say die attitude. He's going to take risks. And when you think back to what he had at Miami, he was playing an ACC schedule, and I understand that, but he did. Nobody on his team is actually in the NFL right now. Nobody on that offense, and it was the number 1 offense in all of college football. So he's used to taking guys who might not be the top pick if you're out on the playground, line them all up, saying, I want him, I want him. He's used to not having those guys and still making it work. So I think the backdoor cover just going to be wide open in this game. I can see the Broncos up 14, 20 points the entire game, but then the Titans find a way to cover the 8.5.
I want Cam Ward to get smacked around this weekend because he sat out the second half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I know we take the Pop-Tarts Bowl very seriously on this channel.
He shouldn't have played in the game. He shouldn't even dress for the game if he was going to. Like, what's the point of playing a half? Come on, man. Like, that's just a lack of competitiveness. So I'm going to fade him, and I want Bo Nix to shove a football up as you know what. 49ers, Seahawks. I can't really make a pick on this game till Christian McCaffrey's back. I think Sam Darnold, we're not going to see the Minnesota version of Sam Darnold in Seattle. The receiving talent is not nearly as high as what he had in Minnesota. So I'm going to go. I think the 49ers win the game. I'd like to see if Christian McCaffrey is going to play. If he is going to play and he's healthy, different story. I think the 49ers can win convincingly if that's the case. If not, though, I still think they pull it through. I just would like to know if he's playing or not.
Yeah, definitely. The best betting advice I can give is wait to see what the final injury report is. I'm tempted to lean Seahawks. I'm not going to bet this game because I'm so torn by it, but it's hard for me to even give a pick because, again, I want to bet the Seahawks. I think it could end up being a mistake, but I also think the Seahawks could surprise a lot of people this year. So I'm almost caught between two minds. So I guess I don't have anything to say here. I'm sorry. I just can't give a pick on this one.
All right, moving on. Lions versus Packers. The Lions plus 2.5 on the road against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are going to get smacked in this football game. Like I can't say it enough. I can't say it convincingly enough that they are going to lose this game. The Lions will go on the road into Lambeau and win the game because if you are the Lions and you're playing outside, you want to play outside early in the season, number one. This line is like adjusting to Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons needs a shot of epidural just to play in the football game. So I really don't think it's going to make much of a difference having him on the field in this one. He really hasn't practiced a ton in the offseason. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. They're the better football team. They're going to win the game.
I think all this Micah Parsons deal has done is, first of all, it's completely hamstrung the Packers cap situation. Second of all, it means they're now finally going to realize Jordan Love is not the guy. You've seen the Dolphins make moves like this, only for them to realize that Tua was not the guy. You see this happen in different places around the NFL. The Giants didn't make it with a trade, but they gave Daniel Jones the money to find out that he's not the guy. You see it happen in numerous places. This is about what's going to happen to Green Bay. The Lions, we know what they are. Again, we're so caught up in wanting to see the best of teams that we haven't seen it from yet. Like I was just talking about with the Falcons. Packers have been a good team, sure, but everybody's waiting for Jordan Love to break through to that next level. Everybody's waiting for Micah Parsons to win the Defensive Player of the Year. In this game, we know what the Lions are. And hey, they have Defensive Player of the Year and Aiden Hutchinson on their side. They've been to deep runs in the playoffs 2 years in a row. They have maybe the most talented offense in the NFL. The Lions as underdogs, that's crazy. I'd take them.
Yeah. Texans versus Rams here. I'm going to go with another underdog in this game. I'll take the Texans +3 against the Rams. I don't know what Matt Stafford's health is going to be in this game. Like, does he have a massive back problem? Does he not? I don't think anyone knows. I think the Rams have done a really good job covering it up. I think Houston was in a little bit disappointing season. I know they still won the division last year, but I think they come out year 3 of CJ Stroud's going to look a lot better than year 2. And they could ultimately win this game outright, but I like the +3.
Yeah, I also have them at +3. I think something that's just so easily forgotten, and I don't understand why, is the Texans have an elite defense. I think it's just because CJ Stroud dominates so many headlines. And sure, I understand the concerns about the offensive line and I think Christian Kirk's the receiver who's not going to be playing in this game. But at +3, if it was +1, is that different? Yeah, a little bit. But at +3, I really view them as the same tier as the Rams. And the Rams, again, Matthew Stafford, we don't even know if he's alive. Joking, obviously, but that's the running joke online. So that Stafford is just beat to hell, just like he has been throughout his entire career. So yeah, I will definitely take the Texans with the points here.
Ravens versus Bills, Sunday Night Football, the place where the Ravens season ended last year. Same spot, revenge factor. Give me the Ravens. I'd take a money line at this point, but it's -1.5, -105. But still, the Ravens, better football team. I think Mark Andrews gets going really early in this one. I think they're going to feed him. They're going to run the ball. We're going to see that the Ravens are the better football team in this game. Is it going to happen again in the playoffs? Who knows? But this is a big game when it comes down to seeding for a top seed. I still think the Bills, even if they lose this game, they probably still grab the top seed in the AFC just because the fact that they play in an easy division and the Ravens don't. But the Ravens are going to win this game.
Ravens are going to win this game. They got a better offensive line. They got a better running back. They got a better quarterback. They got a better defense. Ravens are going to win. They smacked them around in the regular season last year. Bills got them in the playoffs, and that's ultimately when it matters. But at the same time, we're not in the playoffs right now. We are in the regular season, and the Ravens will dominate them.
You're going to get a Ravens sweep this season against the Buffalo Bills. I'm not worried. As long as Mark Andrews catches the ball and Lamar Jackson doesn't fumble it in the playoffs, they're going to be in good shape. And Lamar's playoff performance last year was better than in years past, which gives me some hope that this year's playoff performance against the Bills is going to be that much better.
Yep. And then the final game, we only have only one Monday night game.
Which is smart. I don't need a Monday night doubleheader. I think Monday night doubleheaders are dumb. So Bears +1.5 against the Vikings. I'm taking the Bears here. I do not trust JJ McCarthy. If they can run the ball and work in some play action down the field, Justin Jefferson maybe. But I think the Bears are a different beast this year. I think even though Ben Johnson, first-year head coach, what Caleb Williams did in the preseason looked really good. So I'm excited to see him build off that.
Yeah, it's tough for me to bet on a rookie quarterback who didn't play football last year, who's making his first game. He's playing his first game back from a torn meniscus against a defense that has talent. The Bears defense did not finish the year well, but through the first 2 months of the season, they're actually one of the best defenses in the NFL, if you look at some of the metrics. So Kevin O'Connell is an offensive genius, but now Ben Johnson is also an offensive genius. Whether you like Kevin O'Connell's proven his ability to be a head coach, Ben Johnson hasn't done that yet. But just from a pure schematic standpoint, we know they can draw them up similarly. So again, I'm confused. Same thing with the Lions, also an NFC North game there. I'm confused why this team is even an underdog. I think the Bears should be favored here, so I would be betting them.
Bears +1.5 should be a good one. Grant, what's your favorite bet of the week?
Well, I was actually just thinking about, we only have I think 3 differences between us. My favorite bet, I'm just looking at the board real quick. My favorite bet is probably probably Steelers -2.5.
My favorite bet, Giants +5.5.
I've told you I'm gonna be at that game, right? Yeah, I said that at the start of the show.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
It'll be cool. Yeah, first time seeing really the new era of Commanders football. The last game I went to was Eagles Commanders with Sam Howell when I think they went into overtime. It was like 41-34.
That was a great game. Field goals, like Eagles won a field goal at the end, right?
I don't remember how they won it in overtime. I think that's the game. Sam Howell threw a touchdown with no time remaining to tie it and send it to overtime. So yeah, it was a great game.
Anyways, Grant, that was Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast, check out WSN.com, the World Sports Network, link down in the description below, or just search it. And Grant, why don't you take us out of here?
That's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line, guys. Make sure you hit the like button if you did enjoy this. Hit the subscribe button as well. Go to the comment section. Leave us your thoughts on everything that we said in this video. And we will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.